Hi everyone, this is Jaye Wells, and I'm here with some exciting news today. I have a new book out. It's called LONESOME Sound. The genre I'm calling Appalachian Gothic, and I sort of pitch it as Winter's Bone meets Stephen King's Salem's Lot. I know that Winter's Bone was set in the Ozark mountain range and not the Appalachian mountain range. So don't send me emails about that. The idea, excuse me, is that it's a book about a small mountain town and a girl who's trying to survive with all sorts of terrible things happening. And it's got demons in coal mines and ghosts that show up in cemeteries on dark moon nights, and a mountain granny who does mountain magic and all sorts of fun things. It's a bit different in tone than my urban fantasies because, I'm sort of known for writing really fast-paced, action-filled stories. This one has a bit of a, I don't know, like a more literary quality to it. It's not literary fiction, but it's there's more attention paid to the language, and the pace is not quite as fast. So it's a bit of a different singing voice for me that maybe you've not heard before, but I really, really love it. This is the book that I wrote in graduate school. I graduated from Seton Hill with my MFA in writing popular fiction in 2016, and this is the book that I used to earn that degree. And it was a complete departure sort of experiment for me to write it, but it ended up being one of the favorite things I've ever written. So I'm super excited to share it with you. And I thought that today I would read sort of the first chapter. It's very short. It's only like 2.5 pages long, if that. And one thing you should know about this book is each chapter, there's 5 point of view characters. And so the chapters sort of switch off between their points of view to tell the story. And this first chapter, is told in the point of view of Ruby Barrett, who is one of the 2 main characters of the novel. She's 18, and her mom just passed away when this story begins. And I think that's all I'm going to tell you so far. I think the rest will be clear. And I hope you enjoy it. So let's get started. Chapter 1 of LONESOME Sound. Preparation for Burial. Ruby. The bear was crying again. In the cold hours before her sisters demanded breakfast or Daddy got back to drinking, Ruby Barrett lay in bed and listened to the cub down the road holler for its mama. The high, pitiful wails didn't enter through her ears. They shredded through her middle like icy fingers. Once inside, the sounds crawled up under her ribs and throbbed like a second heart. The mean old plot hounds down at Junior Jessup's farm answered each of the bear's cries with howls that sounded like hell's own choir. When she'd first asked Daddy about the bear, he said Junior kept it caged near the dog runs to train the hounds for hunting season come deep fall. If Junior's in a Christian mood, maybe he'll send some of that bear meter away for the winter, he'd added. But isn't it illegal to take a cub? She whispered. Instead of answering, he punched her. After living in that house for 18 years, she should have known better than to sass him. These days, the only sure things in her life were Daddy's fists, the crying bear, and the mama-shaped hole in her world. After he'd hit her, she'd washed the blood from her mouth in the cracked bathroom sink. She'd sent her anger down that drain, too, because her sanity depended on staying numb. The memories faded away, just like the bruises eventually did, leaving her alone in the dark with the rain beating on the clapboards like tears and the cold so hard like a winter's grave. That morning they were going to bury Mama. The thought created a crack in the dam she built around her heart. She swiped at the first couple of tears, but soon she couldn't stem the tide anymore. Her sobs weren't as loud as the bear's, but they sounded and felt just as hopeless. Squeezing her eyes closed, she listened hard for the song. She yearned for the sound of wind whispering secrets through the trees and the distant rumble of highland thunder. Mom had been the one to teach her how to listen to the mountain's music, But when Mama died, so would the songs, and now the only music in her life came from that terrified bear cub. Without the mountain to tell her its secrets, she had no choice but to turn to God for help. "Please, Jesus," she whispered, "bring me a miracle." In all her life, she'd only known 2 people who escaped Moon Hollow. The first was Jack Thompson, but even he hadn't lasted a full year at college before he lost his scholarship and moved back to his mama's trailer. Last time she talked to him, he said he was looking into work down in the mines. Might as well have said he was buying a plot up on Cemetery Hill, which is right where her mama, the only other escapee, would be buried that very morning. "Please help me leave this place." Something deep in her chest, some burning knowledge that was not of the brain but of the heart, told her that if she didn't find her song, Moon Hollow would become a tomb, and she'd be buried alive. But Jesus didn't answer her prayer that morning. The only response came from down the road. She wondered if the bear had watched its mama die too. Like lightning, an image appeared in her head of Mama's whole body shuddering as death asked her to dance. The jerky steps of that morbid waltz represented the surrender of Rose Barrett's body and soul. The remembered smell of cinnamon and grain alcohol from the spilled apple pie moonshine, a perfume she would now always associate with death, filled her nostrils. She swallowed hard and pushed the ugly memory back down into the dark vault where she hid all of her ghosts. Funny, she never remembered hearing that bear cry once the sun was high and the dew baked off every blade of grass. But at that moment, in the dark, in the cold dark, the world felt impossibly small and filled with the terrible realization that the only thing worse than those cries was knowing that soon enough they too would fall silent. That, my friends, is chapter 1. High Lonesome Sound is available in print and ebook. I will list links below in comments. If you have questions, let me know in comments as well. You can also visit my website at www.jayewells.com for more information. This excerpt is printed there, as well as some great quotes that I've gotten from other authors about this book, and other links to my other books if you haven't read those. Thank you for listening today, and I hope that you'll give this book a try. I think you'll like it. Have a great day.